Good morning, everybody. Namm Show 2018. I'm sitting here with Jason from Gretsch Guitars. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, just fine. I'm really excited. You guys told me about new stuff here, so why don't you just tell us a little about it?
Will do. Okay, what you're looking at here is the new Players Edition Jet BT. Solid body guitar. Actually, one of the hidden secrets about our Jets is that they're chambered mahogany bodies, and what this allows you to do is extends your tonal range. You get deeper lows, you get a smoother mid-range and an extended high that remains musical throughout. And that is coupled with our brand new BT65 Broadtron pickups. So these have the Alnico 5 magnet and a slightly wider magnet spacing that gives you a lot more power. It reproduces all of that sound you're getting from the chambered body, keeps it lively, keeps it fresh, allows you to power through an EL34 or 6L6 amp, but immediately switch to the cleanest, clean, lush tone that you'll ever want out of a clean channel. And I'll demonstrate if you like.
How would you compare the new pickups to like the Filtertrons, the normal versions?
These are probably our biggest, fattest pickups that we've made. And so because of the construction difference, you'll have the Broadtron at its highest level of output. You'll have our Fulltron that is in our broadcasters, and then you'll have the Filtertron. So in a broader spectrum, these are just shy maybe of the output of a PAF style, and then you'll have the BT65, our Fulltron, then a Filtertron. So a little bit girthier, but still maintain all that Gretsch chime.
All right. Cool. Would you play us a little?
Check it out.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Very aggressive. You can hear that it breaks the amp in a very classic tone. So this is an EL34 style. Actually, it's KT88s, but it gives you that big British sound. Then all you got to do, you can immediately switch to it goes from very aggressive to very chimey, very open, very clean. So you not only have a very driving, distorted rhythm, but you've got a clean channel that you absolutely love. No compromises, no buildup of mid-range, all that Gretsch fidelity, but still the Gretsch power.
Awesome. Very, very interesting. Looking forward to trying them. Will you offer these pickups in other models as well?
We'll eventually move them, but right now it's all about the Jet BTs.
Oh, wow. Yes. How are the dimensions? Is it like the same wide and long?
It's similar to a PAF style, yeah. So I think you probably could get something like that in here. You know, we don't think you will, but I think we have the option. But yeah, certainly.
For like guitars that don't have these pickups in, which dimensions?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I'll grab Adam for the specs.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you.
Have an awesome show.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Adam, what are the specs on these cool new guitars?
Okay, so we saw Jason playing one model over there. We look at the whole range of the guitars.
We can swap if you want to.
Yeah, come over here. So basically we have kind of two versions in terms of the aesthetics. We have the Flametop models, and the one Jason was playing was the solid color model. Let's take this one, for example, as one of the Flametops. This is our bourbon stain finish. You can see it's a beautiful, deep figure in the wood there on the maple top. All these guitars have mahogany, and as Jason mentioned earlier, they're all chambered. I have been for 65 years now. All our jets have always been chambered, but that's how our sound is created. It's the very basis of the Gretsch sound with these guitars. And what we've done is really upgraded them for the modern player. So we've introduced the studded bridge on our vintage jets. If you had a look at our vintage select jets, which we launched last year, they have the floating bridge, and they have slightly higher neck set. So these ones, the studded bridge with the lower neck set, means you can dig in a lot harder. And for the modern player, that's really important. And these ones,
See the difference in the neck set.
yeah.
So that's the older one, right? Yeah.
Side by side, you can see how the difference there is. And while we've got the guitars to compare, we should have a look at the heels as well, because this is a big part of the Player's Edition feature set of these guitars. So you can see the vintage style heel so this guitar is the 53, so this is styled accurately after the vintage style. So you've got that slight corner there and a larger heel. And on the here, you've got the much reduced heel and this subtly curved over corner here, which again, at a glance, you don't really notice it, but you really feel it when you're playing it, and it really means you can get right up there to the 22nd fret with ease. So that's really cool. Again, chambered. They've always been chambered since this is a 53 reissue, vintage select version, and so 65 years have always been chambered.
And how much of the body is chambered, like from the electronic cavity up there?
All the way through here.
Okay. See that upper part and everywhere you anyhow would have because of electronics?
What you want is that liveliness, that acoustic resonance, right? So you want the instrument to project loudly when it's unplugged so that by the time the pickup is reproducing all that sound, you get a very dynamic and punchy tone. It comes from the sound of the instrument, not just the pickups.
That is exactly the fact. Even though not everybody agrees on that, but yeah, still.
Well, some people design it that way. Some people design it so the pickups is giving all the sound. They'll use a neutral tone wood like basswood, for example. We've designed it the other way around. We've started with the resonance of the guitar and made sure the guitar sounds great, and then made some great pickups to really reproduce that sound.
And in fact, that is sort of where we live. So chances are you'll be on the other side of a stage with someone who does have a very dense mahogany guitar with a PAF style, or even a Fender bolt-on style. What is nice about having the chambered guitar is that it can fill out that bolt-on alder maple format and also create more definition to the more full-bodied set neck, like the Les Paul style, right? So if you're using a Gretsch with either a Fender or a Gibson, you've got this enormous sound that is very defined, very articulate. Both guitars do the work very strongly.
It's very interesting.
They complement well, in other words.
You actually just exactly repeated the words of Richard Fortus.
Oh, okay.
I was speaking with him, and well known, he plays with a guy playing a guitar. And he's playing his White Falcons, his Gretsch guitars, and he was exactly saying your words, a guitar with a solid body and that has this typical,
Very focused.
full body focused sound. With Gretsch guitars, he actually hears himself, and it makes sense to have two guitar players in a band, playing rock and roll.
Think AC/DC, right? You got a very nice Gretsch-Gibson comparison there. Rancid is the same thing, so Tim plays the big hollow body, and Lars plays more of a mahogany style, and it creates width. It creates definition. That's what the Gretsch does and what the Gibson does so well. We want to mold them together, and just create this sonic wall, So very exciting.
Very nice, very nice.
We should talk about the electronics a little bit. When Jason was playing earlier, saw him playing around with the various controls. We've set this guitar up so you really can adjust these controls and have them very useful at the full range. So just a quick overview of the setup. This is the classic Gretsch setup overall, which is the master volume, the volume per pickup, and the master tone control, and the three-way switch for the pickups. With the Player's Edition, we added a couple of little tweaks to that. So we've got a treble bleed on the master volume. This is a no-load tone pot. So when you crank it all the way up, it's a slight indent there and it's completely bypassed. So you get the full output of the pickups. But with the paper in oil vintage capacitor in there, the full range of that tone control is useful. It never gets muddy. And you were playing with that tone control a little bit earlier. And it kind of brings that tone control back into play, because on a lot of guitars, people just dime them in and leave them. But this one, you can really just take the edge off slightly when you need to. And then when you want to crank up for a solo or for a rocking chordal section, you can just pull it right up. The other advantage with the master volume setup is that you can balance the sound of the pickups. So whether you're in the middle and you just want a full neck and a little bit of bridge, or whether you're on the neck and you want to turn that down a bit and then flip over to a full bridge, and then you set up the tone as you want it. And then once you've set them to the sweet spot, you can kind of set and forget, and then you just use the master volume to.
And it will not get dull because it's balanced all the way through its range.
Triple bleed circuit, exactly. So you're doing most of the throttling of the amp's gain here without having to rediscover the tone that you've worked so hard to set.
Very, very intuitive, very player-friendly.
Exactly. And so some other features of the Player's Edition set, which you'll find on most of our Player's Edition guitars, things like the shallow strap locks as standard. You've got a Graphtec Tusk XL nut up there. You've got locking tuners. So you've got rock solid tuning for that reason with our V stop tailpiece, which is unique to Gretsch, but is also a big nod to the legacy of Gretsch. You'll see the V on like the Cadillac tailpiece, and then the V cut out of the Gretsch Bigsby. So that's a little nod to that sort of history and legacy of the brand. And also, as you've got a 53 there, the starting point for the aesthetic of this guitar was a nod to where it all began. So exactly. The Scripty logo, it was originally in 1953, had the block inlays with the first one missing. We've done all that on this one as a nod and a tribute to where it all began, and then brought it right up to date with all the features we've been talking about. That's suburban stain in the flame. We've also got the deep cherry stain in the flame as well.
Yep.
And then a couple of others. We've got a Cadillac green metallic.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's a beauty. And the Cadillac green again, an original Gretsch colour from back in the day. We have a 57 in our Vintage Select with the same. Classic black, we had to do black because the original Durojet was black, so we, again, a nod back to the where it all began. And the one Jason was playing earlier, which is the deep cherry metallic. Again, all quite subtle, classy colours. Maybe not so bling as some of the other colours we do with the Vulcan and so forth, just a bit more subtle and classy. And then we also have a Lefty, because we don't want the Southpaws to be left out, right? So we have the Lefty, and we've done that in Cadillac green. So it's not just a lot of manufacturers will just do a black guitar for the left-handed. So we've given it a different colour option there. So that's very cool.
They were happy, believe me.
Indeed, and then just as a continuation of that, so we've talked about that new tone that the Broadtron pickups create, but some people still want the classic Gretsch sound, but they might want that with the modern players' features that we've talked about. So we have the FT jets here. They have our original high-sensitive Filtertron pickups on, so that great Gretsch sound, and they all have the Bigsbys on because that's another classic Gretsch feature. So if somebody wants the classic old-school Gretsch sound but want the modern playability, we have these guitars here in the classic Gretsch colours. Again, silver sparkle, firebird red and black, and then the left-handed in black as well for the old-school sounds.
Very nice. Awesome. Thank you very much for showing all the Gretsch new stuff. We'll be coming back with all the other brands, EVA, Jackson, and everything else. So please stay tuned and subscribe and comment. Cheers, guys.